Right, well, joining me now is a former Sheffield Wednesday, a former Leeds United, Norwich City, Bolton Wanderers player, Jon Newsome. First of all, Jon, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. Very good.
So, Jon, first of all, we're going to go back. We're going to look at your career and just what did it mean when you joined Sheffield Wednesday? Obviously, a lad from Sheffield. Just how proud were you to get a couple of appearances during that first spell?
Yeah, I mean it's every boy's dream, isn't it? It was my dream from being probably 6, 7 years of age, and I was lucky enough to get taken down to the football club and invited down there when I was about 12 years of age. I managed to make my way through, as an apprentice, and then I got a professional contract and made my debut quite early in that. And as I said, it's every boy's dream to play for the team that they've supported as a lad, I suppose.
And obviously, I mean, you must be looking at Sheffield Wednesday at that time and thinking, really pinching yourself, thinking, I can't believe that I'm playing for the team that I've been watching.
Yeah, I mean, you do, but, it's a very long process to get from, sitting on in the stands or standing on the cop and working your way through. And every year seems to be a bigger year than the previous year. That's the thing I think about young players coming through in football. You're trying to get, I think, a scholarship now, whereas we were after apprenticeships or even a YTS. You manage to achieve that, and then all of a sudden there's probably a dozen of you who are all vying to try and get a professional contract. So the next year is a really important year, and it just goes on and on and on like that, and becomes more and more intense. And I think it's just a natural progression that you get to some point that if you are lucky enough and good enough to get to that standard, you get given your opportunity, and the last thing you want to do is let yourself down. You don't want to let your club down. You don't want to let your family down. So you've got to go in there and continue with what's actually got you there. But yeah, I mean, I look back now and it was an amazing journey for myself, and I'm sure most players will look back and think the same thing. I'm just delighted and very proud to be able to say that I did play for my home club as well as other clubs as well, and I'm very, very fortunate to have the career that I had.
And moving on to another club, you moved to Leeds United. Just how did that move come about?
Well, I'd done 2 years professional at Sheffield Wednesday, and I felt that although I'd made my debut early in my first year, I was given sort of like an extra year's contract. I didn't feel that I was given an opportunity to play really. For the second year, I don't think I ever made a squad, never mind be in contention to play until the very, very last game of the season. And we played Oldham away, and quite surprisingly, I was put into the squad, and then even more surprisingly, I played in the game. My contract was up, like there were a few younger players' contracts up. And I went in to see Ron Atkinson at the time, who was the manager, who offered me a new contract. And I turned it down. I just said to him, it's not about money. It's not about, me really wanting to leave the football club. But what I want to do is I want to play football on a Saturday afternoon. I want to go to a club that I feel like I've got an opportunity. And that didn't go down too well with him, I don't think. And I turned my contract down and just sat and waited. And luckily enough, within about 24 hours, I got contacted by Michael Hennigan, who was Howard's number 2 at the time, invited up to Leeds, which obviously made the journey up there and sat and talked with Howard and Mick, and was just delighted to sign, and the rest is history, I suppose. Is how they say, isn't it?
I was going to say you had plenty of success and also a Premier League winners' medal as well, which must mean a lot to you.
Yeah, I mean, fabulous year, first year there. Unfortunately, I actually I got a knee injury during pre-season, and I was out for a good 2, 3, 4 months really. They couldn't diagnose what the issue was, but finally got fit and sort of like broke into the first team in a couple of cup matches, and then unfortunately for Mel Sterling, he got a bad ankle injury, and I was thrown in at right back, and I managed to play, a handful, 10 games or something towards the end of the season, and on the run-in, and managed to be part of all that celebration and winning the championship, which was just, beyond my wildest dreams. If I'd gone back 12 months and driving up the M1 to have discussions about, whether I was going to be offered a contract and to then actually be in a championship winning team with such fabulous footballers, the team that we had at the time. So yeah, it was like a dream come true.
And then, obviously, after Leeds, Norwich City catch your attention, and they were willing to pay £1 million for your services. And I mean, did that add any pressure to yourself? Because obviously, at that time, especially, it was a lot of money.
Yeah, it was. Yet again, really, Howard pulled me in during the summer and just said, we've had an offer from Norwich. We've accepted it. Do you want to go and have talks? I'm buying another centre half. To me, the writing was on the wall there. So off I trotted down to Norfolk and had talks, and we agreed on a contract, and I was happy to sign. And it was only in the press conference that somebody asked me the question about, what do you think about the fee? And I to that moment, I had no idea what the fee was. And then when obviously somebody told me, well, it's £1 million, my opinion was it's a fee between the two football clubs, isn't it? I've been bought, whether it had been £100,000 or £1 million. The football clubs invested in me and invested, good money into me, and it was for me to go down there and give them my best. And I'd like to think, that's what I did really.
And then, obviously, after Norwich, you get the chance to return to Sheffield Wednesday. And I know when you left Norwich, a lot of Norwich fans were very angry that you were leaving because you were liked so much there. Just how did it feel to know that a club really wanted to keep you in terms of the fans, but also the fact that you were going back home?
Yeah, it was a difficult period really, because we got relegated in my first year, and I'd been approached by a couple of clubs. And Norwich had said, we don't want to sell you, we want you to stay, and we want to have a go at getting promotion back next year. So I was happy to do that because I loved it down there. I enjoyed the club, I enjoyed the people. I thought we got a good opportunity to bounce straight back. Unfortunately, behind the scenes, the club was struggling, I think, financially, and ended up selling off a couple of players through the season, and it got down to nearly deadline day, and I was informed that the club needed to sell at least one, if not two, players, and I was going to be earmarked as one of those because they could get some decent money for me at the time. So there was a bit of a squabble over a couple of days really, with a couple of different clubs who I think were interested. But obviously when I was informed that Sheffield Wednesday were showing an interest, my ears pricked up to come back and play at your hometown club, for the second time, and hopefully get more of an opportunity than I did on the first in the first period. So when that was all sorted out, and the fee was paid, and a contract was agreed, etc., I was delighted to come back and give it another shot.
And out of them two spells you had at Wednesday, obviously during the first spell you only made a couple of appearances, and during the second you made a lot more. But which one did you enjoy more?
Difficult. Two very, very different football clubs, really. Although obviously it was the same club, they were in very, very different places from the one that I left to one that I joined. The one that I joined had a couple of good seasons, really. But when I arrived there, they were a team in transition, really. The manager at the time, David Pleat, was trying to get a number of experienced players out of the door, which I was unaware of at the time, if I'm honest. And it didn't. I don't think it really worked out for him what he was trying to do. So, although I loved coming back and playing and playing, at the top flight, it was a difficult period at times, if I'm honest.
And then obviously you ended your playing career with that small loan spell at Bolton Wanderers. But by that point, though, had you already put plans in place for life after football?
No, not at all. Not at all. I was still in my late 20s, if I'm honest with you. Again, was being frustrated by not being given an opportunity at the club. Manager Danny Wilson at the time was telling me that he didn't want me to leave. He wanted me to stay. I was an integral part of the club, but I wasn't playing football matches. I wasn't playing in the first team. The reserve games, I was hardly ever given the opportunity to go and play, and it was a really, really frustrating time, if I'm honest. And He then agreed to let me go out on loan, which I felt like I played really well when I went to Bolton. And Bolton were interested in signing me, but yet again he wouldn't let me leave. And it culminated in me actually asking for a transfer. And unfortunately, that was in the week that preceded the Newcastle away game, which is where I injured my knee, which I thought was just an innocuous injury, really, nothing too serious. But it turned out that it was quite a serious injury, and finished my career. And I just turned 30 years of age, so for all I got my eye on, possibly going into coaching and managing and that kind of thing, in later years, I really wanted to carry on playing for a good 4, 5, 6 years. Further on than when it was sort of like taken from under me, really.
And just how frustrating was it to know that you wanted to continue playing on, but your body just wouldn't let you?
Yeah, that was it. Damage to my right knee, and at first they thought that they could repair it, but it's known now. I actually had surgery 2 or 3 years ago, again on the knee, and was informed that the procedures that they did back in the day to try and rectify it, they now know don't work anyway. So, and to this day, there's still nothing that can repair the injury that I sustained. So, really frustrating and a devastating blow, really. When you're sort of in your prime of your life, late 20s, early 30s, and you're looking to go and have a sort of like a nice end to your career and possibly play plenty of games and pass on your experience to younger players who are coming through. And I really enjoyed that side of the game, and then for that suddenly to be taken away from you is it takes a bit of time for you to get your head around it, really.
And so now you actually own a car company, and I was wondering, how did this happen? Was it a case that maybe you've spoken to other players and decided to go down that route, or was it just by chance?
No, not at all. It was just a pure coincidence, really. That next door neighbour was a motor dealer, and I'd come out of football. I was currently managing a semi-pro team down in the Midlands, but unfortunately my sort of like personal circumstances with getting divorced and having young children, that kind of thing, meant that it was really difficult to stay in football and be a single father, really. So I needed to do something else, and like I say, it was just a bit of a coincidence, really, that this good friend of mine suggested that we started doing something together, and it's worked all right for me. It's been flexible enough for me to be there for my children as they've grown up, and I've enjoyed doing what I've done, but it doesn't replace football or being in and around football in any way, shape or form, if I'm honest.
Is it a case, though, that if someone was to say, right now, I want you to, join us as a scout, maybe, as a coach, would you be tempted at all, or do you feel that period of the career is gone?
I don't know. I don't think you can ever say never. If I'm honest with you, I do go down to the games. I go down to Hillsborough quite regularly, and I love going to matches. Love football. It's in my blood. It's been in my blood all my life, really. And to not be involved is sometimes difficult, but that's the way that you have to play with the hand that you're dealt with. So I could never say never. I'd always be interested in being involved in football, and I think giving something back as well. That's the one thing that I really enjoyed when I was doing my coaching badges and working in the academy, that kind of thing, and helping young players and seeing them thrive and learn from you and pass on that that knowledge and that experience that luckily enough I gained through an half decent career.
Well, moving on now, you've mentioned Hillsborough, and I think we've got to talk about just what's going on at Sheffield Wednesday at the minute, because an incredible night beating Arsenal. And do you feel that this is a side which is on the rise and could be in the Premier League sooner rather than later?
Yeah, they are. I mean, don't get me wrong. The club's doing an excellent job. The chairman's come in, Mr. Chansiri, and put his money where his mouth is, and he's invested heavily into the football club. And things have really taken a turn for the good over the last month or so, culminating in Tuesday's victory, which was a fabulous evening. And I just hope that we've got a big game on Saturday against Nottingham Forest, and then another big game next Tuesday against Brighton, and they're really the tough games that the club have got to concentrate on, and hopefully we'll get something out of both of those games.
And looking at, getting in someone like Gary Hooper, that must give the whole squad a big boost, because he obviously is a big name striker.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, the chairman's put his money where his mouth is, really. And I think with him experiencing, Mr. Chansey will have never experienced anything like he experienced on Tuesday night. And I've spoken to a few people, and neither would have a lot of the younger supporters who went to Hillsborough on Tuesday. So it gives them a taste of what can happen and what could possibly be on the horizon if they could get promotion into that Premier League. And don't get me wrong, that is where you want to be. That's where any football club wants to be, because nights and Saturday afternoons like that, where you've got big clubs, Arsenal, Man United, Man City, Chelsea, people like that coming to town, the whole city has a buzz about it. So yeah, it was a really positive result for Sheffield Wednesday, but I think surrounding that was also the positivity on the night, which probably just angles a bit of a carrot for Mr. Chansiri.
And looking at the impact that the manager Carlos Caraval has made, it's been quite a positive one, hasn't it, so far? And speaking right now, it's 8 games without a loss. That kind of run, that kind of momentum can only help the squad move forward.
Absolutely. And I've got to be honest with you, when I went down to Hillsborough the first 2 or 3 games, and there were a few question marks about the way that they were playing and the formation, but I'll take my hat off to him. He's rotated the squad. He's changed the team from game to game. Everybody seems to be buying into what he wants them to do, and it looks. The football club and the players look like they're all enjoying it. They all believe in what they're doing, and they're full of confidence. And I think that is the biggest thing that I can see, that they've got a massive amount of confidence at the moment. And that wins you football games and breeds good performances. So yeah, no, I applaud him. He's done a really, really good job so far. But it's still early doors, early in the season, and I don't want hopefully nobody will get carried away. It's a long, long season, and we just hope that we're there and thereabouts at the end of it.
And moving on then from a Championship side you played for that are doing rather well at the minute to a Championship side you've played for that maybe you could argue are struggling at this moment in time, Leeds United. I mean, just what have you made of the changes that Massimo Cellino has made in the last couple of months?
I think it's. I mean, we've said for a while it's becoming farcical, isn't it? And the time and history has proven that constantly changing managers, having off-field issues with chairmen and board directors and that kind of thing doesn't make for a good quality squad and good team performances on the pitch. And I don't care what anybody says. It does affect people. It does affect the players most definitely. And it's just sad to see because I had a great time at Leeds United. I've got a very big soft spot for them. Love my time up there. Enjoy the city. Enjoy the people. It's just sad. Really, really sad to see at the moment.
And of course, looking at Leeds United and the form they're under, I mean, if you were trying to, could you explain why Leeds United just simply can't win at home at the minute?
I touched on it with Sheffield Wednesday. It's a confidence thing. It's a confidence thing. Luckily, when I was there, Ellen Road was a fortress. People clubs hated coming to Ellen Road because it was a really, really difficult place to come and play football. And Leeds fans are very demanding, and rightly so. Rightly so, they should be. They pay good money. They want the club to be up, winning trophies or challenging for trophies, not languishing at the bottom of the Championship. So, unfortunately, with that, if the team's not playing so well, they start conceding goals, which is quite easily done when the confidence is low. The players supporters get on the players' backs or get onto the chairman's back. They voice their anger and their disagreement, and it becomes a very, very difficult place for people for the home team to go out and perform.
And so looking at both sides now, would you say that this time next year you'd be expecting them both to still be in the Championship, or are you thinking that Sheffield Wednesday might be gaining promotion this year?
I think it's a big ask for Sheffield Wednesday to gain promotion this year. I think people have got to keep their feet on the ground, and they've had a great run. The start of the season wasn't too good. He's turned it around, and they've been on a very good run now. Can they sustain that and keep that momentum going and keep that confidence going through the winter months? The Christmas period. That's when the real, the big questions start being asked about the squad. Thankfully, they've got a very big squad, and rotating players and keeping everybody happy will probably be a big advantage to him over the coming months. But at the start of the season, if somebody had said to most Sheffield Wednesday fans, a playoff position, I think they'd have taken that. So I don't see how you can change your where you're looking at really, or because of the last couple of months and how well they've done. I think you've got to keep your feet on the ground and really just see how we get on. If they can get into a promotion spot, fantastic. But I think take one game at a time.
And John, just finally then, just going to do some quick fire questions and answers. So I'm going to start now then. Who is the best player you played with?
Oh, best player played with? Oh, goodness me, there's an endless list. Luckily enough to play with lads like, Gary McAllister, Gary Speed, David Batty, Eric Cantona, Gordon Strachan, Paolo Di Canio, Benito Carboni, some fabulous players who I was very, very fortunate to play with.
Who's the best player you faced?
Best player I faced was probably Gabriele Battistuta in a friendly in Italy when I was playing for Leeds.
Which is the ground you enjoyed playing at most?
Probably old Wembley Stadium. I only ever got there once, playing in the Charity Shield, and to actually play at Wembley, I obviously was a boyhood dream.
Which club would you have liked to have joined for the clubs that you've already been at? Which club that you never went to was the one where you wanted to go to them?
No, I can't say there was really. I can't say there was a. I was happy where I was. No, I couldn't say there was a club. I played for the club I wanted to play for. As a kid, and that was Sheffield Wednesday, which we've touched on.
Who was your best friend while you were playing football?
Within football or outside of football?
Within
football. Difficult again, really, because as you move around, you've got different pals and that kind of thing. Good mates with Gary Speed when I was up at Leeds. John Pemberton when I was at Leeds, yeah. Brian Gunn when I was down at Norwich was a good pal of mine. I'll still keep in touch with. And then a few of the Sheffield Wednesday lads, A.F.C and people like that. So difficult to pinpoint one, really.
Finally, I think I know what the answer will be, but I'll ask it anyway. Out of all the clubs that you played for, which one did you enjoy playing for most?
Probably Norwich City. Yeah. I played my best football for Norwich City, and had probably my most enjoyable couple of years in as a professional footballer down there. So, yeah, I would say Norwich City.
Well, John, I really do appreciate